Hello and welcome to another episode of the Just Talking About Films podcast, where we do exactly what the title suggests. We just talk about films. My name is Ian Sargentson.
And my name's Luke Taylor, and it is great to be with you to just get into what we've been watching this week. And also, we're going to be talking about our favourite superhero films. I suspect my list is going to be longer than yours.
Yeah, I think it will be, as I've talked about before. I don't mind superhero films, but I'm just not that into them as you and other people. If
Sure.
it's a good film, I'll talk about it, I'll watch it. But if it's, I won't watch something just because it's a superhero film. I don't get giddy and go into all the history and relationships of the universe, whichever universe it is. But but I do like them, just not in a really enthusiastic way.
And I was big into comics as a kid, so
Yeah.
I remember the first time. I remember when we'll get into it, but the first time X-Men, which was the first time after reading the comics and seeing the cartoons, that I was like finally seeing it on the big screen. And it was, looking back, probably not the best representation of the X-Men that's ever been on, but it was all we had, and it was just like, wow, this is the best. So I've been sold on them since the start.
Yeah, and I think that's where there's a disconnect between me and a lot of people. It's like, oh, but it's not faithful to the comics. I couldn't care less. Could not care less. If it's a good film, it's a good film. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not bothered. Oh, but so and so wouldn't do that because Cap and Hawkeye wouldn't agree. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? But I know that, and I'm not mocking it. Well, I am mocking it. But I know that people are passionate about it, and I get it because I'm passionate about things that other people might think. So I get it. I don't have that level of investment in whether it's the comics or being faithful to the comics or the storyline or the universe. I just want to watch a good film.
Yeah, which is fair enough, and I think that's even though I'm invested in them because I read them as a kid. At the end of the day, I just want to see a good film, and I'm not going to be blind to the ones that I just plain dreadful.
No, yeah, absolutely. But I think there is there is people that that are interested in and can explain all of the way the relations, and then whether they come in a chronological order or not, or what that like that, and have read the comics, or even if you haven't read the comics, are just fans of the Marvel universe, for instance. So all of this stuff that's coming on, that comes on Disney, that they get it and they love it. So where I'm not, I haven't watched that WandaVision because it looked awful. It just looked ridiculous, nonsensical. But people telling me how good it is and how much it helps explain to the universe. And see, I'm not watching it on that level, but I know other people are. And
it was good fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the same with the new Loki thing. Now, I didn't really like the Loki character in the Thor films or anything like that, or in the Avengers films anyway. So I wasn't that interested in watching that. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that we come from fairly different points of view. But
I suspect we'll have a lot of similar films in common.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's not that I don't want people to be hearing that I don't like superhero films. I do. As we talked about last week, Superman was one of the things that really got me into films as a kid. So
yeah. Great. Well, let's start with, in that case, just films that you've watched this week. What have you seen this week, Ian?
So I've watched 2 films this week, only 2, and one was utterly heartbreaking, and the other one was a recommendation from friend of the pod, John, the other week. And I rewatched it and I had a whole new appreciation for it, I think. So I think I can't understand why I didn't realize how good it was when I watched it the first time. So the first film I've watched since we last spoke, because I was kind of taken up with the football and stuff last weekend, and then getting over that, and been busy at work. But was Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
Right. Okay. And was that based on a recommendation, or was that the heartbreaking one?
No, that was the heartbreaking one. It was absolutely heartbreaking. Do you know what I mean? I enjoyed the Bill and Ted films as a kid. Enjoyed the cartoon, but it was painful. Painful. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah. We saw it in that brief window when cinemas were open last year.
Brutal. It was like watching someone you love and care about, just struggling. It was like the redeeming bits in it with not the characters because they were slightly irritating, but the bits where the daughters were doing.
Yeah, the daughters were pretty good.
The actual bits with Bill and Ted, it was just like, no. This is who thought this was. Well, I thought it was a good idea, but who looked at it and thought, yeah, this is what we wanted to do.
It's funny because it's kind of a film about getting old and not being as good as you thought you'd be when you got old. But the film itself isn't as good as you thought it would be. I'm assuming that's not on purpose.
No, it was. It was just like, yeah, as I say, it was watching someone you care about from your past and just getting older. And so, yeah, it was just, as I said, that I really enjoyed him as a kid. And it's one of the examples of films that should have just been left there because, do you know what I mean? It just wasn't convincing. And so, yeah, it was heartbreaking. And I haven't done a review or a score of it yet because I just can't bring myself to do that. And then the second film that I watched was Dread. So what John talked about, one of his underrated films, and it is aesthetically, it is outstanding. You know, the colours, the shots, the cinematography, even the way they weave in the narcotics in the film, so they can have a lot of slow-mo sequences, and it's a bit like Max Payne in that respect. But yeah, it was really, really well done, and I enjoyed watching it. So it was good, and I think it was John that said it can't understand why there hasn't been a sequel, and I agree with him on that. I can. It sets it up for one, an obvious one, and we've not seen it yet. But I really, really enjoyed that.
That's good. I haven't seen it. I don't know why I haven't seen it. It's just you miss a film sometimes and you never pick it back up again. So
yeah, it reminds me a bit of the Raid and films like that. You know, it's Judge Dredd and some new recruit trying to invade a tower block, and there's some good actors in it, some great performances. Cersei from Game of Thrones, can't remember her name now, but she's in it and does, puts on a great performance. And yeah, it was just a whole lot of fun, a lot of mindless violence. Good guys versus bad guys, justice, all that. So yeah, but it looks incredible.
Oh well, now it's been recommended twice. I'm going to try and seek it out.
Yeah.
What did you watch it on?
Netflix.
Oh, okay. So it's easy enough to find. Okay, I'll give that a look this week if I get a chance.
Yeah. So what have you been watching?
I've had a bit of a slower week as well this week. Well, not a slower week, a busy week. So I haven't watched as many films this week either. But I've only done 3 this week. The first of which was, and I missed the beginning, but I've seen it before. But when you're sort of flicking through and you're like, oh yeah, we'll watch this. And it was The Impossible.
Okay, yeah.
The film about the family caught up in the it was a 2004 the tsunami, which is, it's a film I couldn't really remember whether I liked it or not. I remember being a little bit like, because the original family were very I think were Spanish that it happened to, and the family in the film are very, very, very English. I mean, incredibly English. And I remember being a little bit like, I don't know why they did that, but as I was watching it, you kind of, once you're into the story, it doesn't matter so much. I think it's a very well-made film. I mean, it knows how to really take you through the ringer as you're watching it and really feel everything that everybody's feeling. And it's, I'd forgotten how how emotional it was. And those scenes of the tsunami were just, it was incredible. And the director, I can't remember his name. It's J.A. Bayona or something like that. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it just struck me how good a visual filmmaker he is. It was stunningly shot. There might be issues with the story itself and some of the performances. I don't think Naomi Watts is particularly good in it, but it really swept me along, and I have to admit there was a couple of tears as I was watching it. It was,
Yeah, it's quite a harrowing film, especially when you know that it happened. Do you know what I mean? Not just the family aspect, but the representation, the destruction, the devastation that was caused. That was real people. Real people's lives lost, real people's homes just washed away. It was.
So, and then I read on, I don't know whether this is true because I read it on IMDb, so it might not be. But a lot of the extras in the film were people who'd gone through it,
Right.
and people who'd been caught up in it and lost their families in it. So that's quite, it was quite something to see. So yeah, I was going to say I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it, but I was quite moved by it.
Yeah, I think for me that fits into one of the things that we talked about in last week or the week before, where what a film that you don't really, it was good but you don't want to watch again, and that kind of fits in with that for me, because although there's a lot of stuff to celebrate in it, human triumph and all of these things, and there is good aspects to it, like a happy story in it, but it's just encapsulated in devastation and death and loss and tragedy. It's just a tough watch.
It is. It's a very hard watch. But yeah, it was one of those things that it was on, and we flicked, and it was just, we'll keep with this. It was meant to be in the background, I guess, initially, but it really swept me up with it. Yeah, that was good. So we watched that, and then last week we talked about Richard Donner films, and we went through his biography. And there was a couple of films I hadn't seen, and one of them was The Toy.
Oh yeah, you were asking if anyone could get it.
If anyone, well, I actually found it on a weird, obscure Sky channel called Great Movies Classic, and I have to say that channel name's a lie.
No good.
Can I just say, one of the things I think in this podcast, we want to approach every film with an open mind. And I did, but I feel like I've took one for the team with this film. I feel like I've watched it, so you don't have to. And can I just say, everybody, do not seek this film out. It is not worth it. It is. I was watching it, and I was thinking, I'm just going to check now. Actually, hold on. I think he made it after Superman. Let me just check because I was watching it thinking, how is this made by the same guy who made Superman? Yeah, good. Yeah, he did. He made it after Superman. And it's like, I found it impossible to believe that the same guy had made both of these. It felt like it had been made by the guy who made Superman 3.
Yeah, well, yeah. We talked about that last week, and then Superman 3. But so, needless to say, you're not a fan.
No, I mean, yeah. You think, aside from the fact that it's not aged well, this idea of a rich man buying a black man as a toy for his son.
Yeah, the premise is quite difficult from the off, isn't it?
It is, and the film knows that, because it was only the 80s. I mean, it's not like so the film knows there's a slavery metaphor there somewhere, but it never goes there.
Really.
And it's just it.
So what is it? Is it meant to be a comedy, or
it's a comedy? Oh, it's and I didn't laugh once. It's even got those bits. I mean, it's Richard Pryor doing his thing, none of which is working in the context of this film, I don't think. It's even got speed ramp bits, where he's being chased by something, and it's all like running really fast, and it's just like, it was so painful. I had to watch it in parts. But I was determined to get to the end of it. I've watched it, so you don't have to. Please take the recommendation. Don't watch The Toy by Richard Donner.
Now that just makes me want to watch it, but I'm not going to.
No, don't. This isn't a tease. This isn't me saying it's so bad it's good. It is just so bad you'll wish you hadn't seen it afterwards.
Okay.
So do not recommend The Toy. Then last night I went to see Black Widow at the cinema, and it was nice to be at the cinema to watch a Marvel film again, and to see that Marvel logo come up on the big screen. I know that's sad, but
no, it's not sad, and I don't want to say. I know there's people I've seen all over Twitter. Great to see that film, that logo again. I just don't care.
Yeah, but I have to say,
plenty of people that do. That's why they churn a film out every 3 days, because there's so many people that do care about it.
It's true. It was a good, very different to a lot of the Marvel films. It's not the same level of superhero-ness, even though clearly people are doing things you can't do in real life.
Yeah.
But more of a spy Cold War film. Is like James Bond ramped up a little bit, or ramped up quite a lot. Some strange things. I mean, it tells the backstory of the Black Widow, as a Russian spy as a child, and it starts in 1995 with them as like a sleeper cell family in America. And I was thinking, 1995? Hasn't Russia pretty much imploded by that point, the USSR? And I know there was still stuff going on, but it just felt like if it had been 1985, but of course, Scarlett Johansson's not old enough for it to have been 1985.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because like you watch films or TV shows like The Americans and different things where there's the suggestion that this was an ongoing thing.
Yeah, and The Americans, I think, is a good example. Obviously, they're doing a riff on The Americans at the start of it, but of course, it's ramped up. The dad is actually a super soldier and has that Captain America thing. And it's funny, he's in prison for quite the beginning of the film, and he's in prison telling stories of times he faced Captain America, even though it's impossible for him to have faced Captain America because he wasn't around. It's well played. I think David Harbour from Stranger Things is the dad character, is having a great time. Florence Pugh is Scarlett Johansson's sister. Very good, very, very good. I tell you what, she's come out what seems out of nowhere over the past few years, and fast becoming one of the best young actresses I've seen in a long time. She's very good.
I say we'll have to do a thing on that, but there's just a lot of good acting talent out there at the moment. It used to be, I think, maybe it was just I didn't recognise it, but it used to be the performances that were celebrated would be a lot of the same people.
Yeah,
and a lot of the same people getting cast. But there's a lot of so much impressive acting talent out there.
There is, and so I thought she was very good in it, and it was fun. The accents are so dodgy, the Russian accents, but you know what? That kind of made it more fun, because they're all the varying degrees of different Russian accents over time, and they were bad, but that wasn't a negative for me. I enjoyed the bad accents.
Okay, but overall, you enjoyed the film.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. Yeah, it was. It's not top tier Marvel. It's not like right up there, but I had a good time.
Well, I'll be interested in a few moments to hear what top tier Marvel is.
Yes. When we get to that, I had a right job trying to pick a top. We're trying to putting films in order, and I kept on pushing films down out of the top 10, and it was like, oh, but I want it in there, and the whole thing turned into a bit of a kerfuffle.
Yeah, I think I actually tweeted my top 10 the other week, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, really?
It was in response to someone, and I did think about it. I'll try and find it, but it was So that's what we're talking about this week. We're talking about favourite superhero films, and I guess before we do that, right? And another thing, it's like one of them other things that we need to get in. Just to what we're saying about superhero films is. Yeah, films where the people are doing stuff, or the protagonist is doing stuff that you or I couldn't, or anybody else couldn't realistically do. Now, that could obviously go for a lot of films, but I get the people that say to me, well, Batman and Iron Man aren't superheroes. They're just rich philanthropists that develop... Yeah, but we're counting them as superheroes because they fit.
Comic books.
Yeah, they fit easily in that thing. So we're not going to get too stuck on the the definition, of what it is. And if you start tweeting us with well, actually, technically, then we just will smile, but we won't really care because we know what we mean, and we assume that the majority of people know what we mean. We're not being that rigid on our definition.
Yes, that's fair. Good. So, where do you want to start with? Do you want to do yours first, or do you want to?
Well, I'll do.
Or should we do our number ones at the same time?
Well, we can if you want. I mean, it's difficult for me because I was thinking, right, what's my top three?
Okay.
But my top three belong to a trilogy.
Oh, so you've picked. I mean, I'm just guessing, but you've picked the Batman, the Dark Knight
Yeah.
films. Yeah.
So it depends whether we count them as three or one, because
Let's count them as one because I think that's maybe my list.
no, but we
Gone
can. We
all
don't
over
have
the
to go
place
to
now.
three. We can go beyond. But I just wanted to start with
Yeah.
my favorite three.
Which is your favorite of the three?
The Dark Knight Rises.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I know that's not for a lot of people. A lot of people like the Dark Knight, but it would be Rises, Dark Knight, Batman Begins in that order for me. There's not a lot between them. I just like, as much as I like the Heath Ledger's Joker, that is the pinnacle of the thing. But the film of Rises, I think, is better.
Right.
And
Okay.
I also like Bane as well, but not as much as Joker. But I think I just prefer the film visually, story wise. Yeah.
Okay. That's. I didn't think you'd go that. I thought you would. I mean, mine's Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Begins. So it's close, but just those two are switched.
Yeah. I think the first 2/3 of Begins are some of my favorite, content of them all.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. I
The
think it's a
origin
lesser
stuff,
film overall than the other two.
yeah, the origin stuff I just really like. But to be honest, I take them as one body of work split into three parts, really. Even though they're separate, it is a continuation. It's so good. But yeah, but I like the redemption narrative of Rises, the restoration, that whole getting out of the whole thing. It's just
Yeah. I mean, I think for me it's got to be. I agree. I think that they are kind of one. I think the second two have more in common with each other than the first one. I think in many ways the first one's kind of finding the tone.
Yeah.
But that opening, just right, even from that opening sequence in The Dark Knight, I think that swiftly became one of my favorite ones straight away.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed The Dark Knight. But yeah, I agree. There's three very good films. And if we count them as one, that would be number one on my list.
Yeah. Me too. And it is difficult to separate them. I just know that I rated on Instagram, I rated Rises a tiny percentage higher. But yeah, just for me, and I've said it before, that is the benchmark for any superhero film. And I know it's easy to say, but I'm not just on about in terms of the whole package, but in terms of the level of sinister, how sinister it is, how dark it is, how serious it is. I don't want my superheroes cracking jokes all the time. I just don't. I want it to be, there's an element of danger to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's moments of levity in them anyway, bits here and there. It just doesn't go overboard on it. But I think, unfortunately, some of the wrong lessons were learned from that. And that's, people look at that and go, okay, it's got to be dark, it's got to be intense, it's got to be realistic. And then you get films like Man of Steel, which was just,
Yeah, but
took it to that degree where it didn't work anymore.
Yeah, well, with Man of Steel, I think, when I watch it, I can see it's like A for effort for me. I can see what it's trying to do, and I think it got part of the way there, but I don't think it was that intention to be realistic, to be dark, to be intense, that let it down. I think it was the plot that let it down.
Yeah, I think the plot was poor, but I think it just took itself so seriously that it actually was a bit off-putting.
Well, yeah, I mean, we might disagree, and I like that. I could see what it was trying to do, and I know that sometimes it's going back to the comic books and stuff. Like Spider-Man, I accept a bit more, but I just don't want all this wisecracking fun. Yeah, it's great. You're in the middle of impending doom and you're cracking jokes. I don't want that. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't happen.
Sure.
So, but then maybe that is a bit of the difference between. Look at us getting deep between Spider-Man and Batman. That sense of impending doom is that Batman is, more vulnerable effectively to whatever's facing him than Spider-Man, who does have superpowers.
And so I guess the thing with Spider-Man is he's a nervous kid, essentially.
Yeah.
Who overcompensates by talking too much,
Yeah.
you know, and that's who he is, and it works for him because that's just the sort of, he's the bully teenager that once he puts the masks on, no longer feels like he has to be quiet all the time.
Yeah, but still, if you're faced with some of the stuff he's faced with, you know what I mean, that nervousness would happen, and it might not be good. But anyway, but that's just me. So I like the darkness of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, and I do. I have to admit, I do as well. There was the darkness of the Dark Knight trilogy, then taking it to what we got with Batman versus Superman, and that's a little too much darkness.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's where it was. So I think Nolan with the Dark Knight trilogy got it right.
Yes.
And then I think other people try and push it too far or become too indulgent or try and become too clever or take it to another level, and it just gets silly. So like Batman versus Superman, I mean, I know that there are fans out there, and I think there's people out there that say they're fans just because they want to be different, but it was truly horrendous. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was not a film that I enjoyed.
Very few redeeming features about it for me. But again, that is me speaking as someone who doesn't have an emotional investment into superhero films per se.
Yeah. Okay, so what? That was my number one. But I kind of collected them as a sum. And then what would you say would be your next after that?
Logan.
Oh, it was my number 3. Yes.
For all the same reasons. It's dark, it's realistic, it's sinister, it's, adult, if you like. It's what adult superhero films should look like to a degree. So yeah, I liked it for all that, the way it was filmed, everything about it. I just thought that's what I want to watch. And I understand why the majority of superheroes films aren't like that, because that's a much more narrow audience.
Yeah.
But so that's my second. I just really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's a very good film, and again, it's serious, but it doesn't stop being fun in its seriousness. No. It's a fun film to watch, even though it is very serious what's going on. And I think it was a very good film, very good.
Because like if you've got this guy with these claws that come out of his fists, there is going to be limbs missing, and there's going to be people chopped up. Do you know what I mean? But whereas in the more family-friendly films, it's just like a few slashes on them. Do you know what I mean, or whatever? It's it's not that I've got a bloodthirst or anything. It's just I like it to reflect what would actually happen a bit more.
Yeah. Did you see the black and white version they brought out on the?
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it in black and white as well.
Yeah. I watched it just out of interest for why it was there. I prefer the colour version, but it was moody enough and some kind of arty stuff. Yeah,
it's a bit of a gimmick doing that, but yeah. So that was my number 3. My number 2, you'll probably disagree with, I guess, was Avengers Endgame.
No, I mean I don't disagree with it because it's your list. I did like Endgame and Infinity War, was it?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, so I like them as standalone films, but again, I don't care too much about how they fit into stuff and stuff. I couldn't tell you what order things go in now or what happened when. I couldn't really tell you one film from the other, but I know that I like them. The same as I think I might get to it, Thor Ragnarok. I like that as a standalone film.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. What I liked about Infinity War was how it took the stakes and just raised them, because you assume the good guys are going to win by the end of the film. And I remember first time seeing it, being in the cinema, and there was a packed cinema, and I think there was a kid just like a couple of seats away from me. And him being in floods of tears when Spider-Man turned to dust. And you're thinking, I was just sitting there thinking, I wasn't expecting that, and he definitely wasn't expecting that. But I like that it raised those stakes so high that suddenly you're ready for the next film. And I thought Endgame itself has so many. I mean, they're moments designed to make you enjoy them, like when Captain America picks up Thor's hammer, or the moment where you feel like everything's lost and then suddenly everyone appears. Those moments, I remember seeing them for the first time in the cinema, and they just worked for me so much.
Yeah, and maybe we just need to talk about that. Just a couple of things there that I want to bring. So the first thing is what you said about, and if you've not seen Endgame, then you probably want to stop listening for a few
Oh yeah.
minutes. But with Infinity War, I thought it was really good, as you said. The stakes were raised, and so people turn into just and this and they're lost, right?
Yeah.
But I would have, in some ways, respected it more if it had finished there. Do you know what I mean? But you knew that it was all going to be reversed, and I thought that was a bit of a cop out. Do you know what I mean? It was like,
yeah. I mean, it is because you know. I mean,
yeah,
half the people that turn to dust, you know, they've got their own film schedule in a few
yeah.
years' time.
But
So-
you also knew that because of the nature of films, it had to end that way.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? It had to end with victory and stuff.
It did.
So yeah, I did, and something in me. I don't just want horrible endings, but something in me did rejoice at the fact that, you know, the ending of it, although it wasn't a fully happy ending, as we know,
No,
of Endgame.
no,
It was
wasn't.
quite
I mean,
mixed.
Yeah.
But and the second thing, this is the bit what I want to get to in terms of explains where I'm coming from. So you saw the bits that you enjoyed about that you meant to enjoy, like Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. So what? What's significant about that?
It was the moment. It was the moment where you just feel like, I don't know how they're getting out of this. And I just thought it was captured so well in that, you know, it brought the question mark, because you've been told all the way through the films nobody else can pick it up.
All right. So
then...
yeah, that makes I'd forgotten about that. So no one's can pick it up, but Captain America can.
Yeah, it was just those. It was. I mean, those moments are designed to be crowd pleasers, to get the crowd going. Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you're in the crowd, that's what I want. I want to be in those moments where everyone's doing. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the. First time watching it again. If you haven't seen it, you probably don't want to be watching us right now. But when you have that first bit of the film, they're going on the mission. And from the trailers, you think this is going to be the whole film, them tracking down Thanos to try and reverse things. And then he dies in the first 20 minutes of the film. And then suddenly he goes 5 years later. And it took so many like big, bold decisions like that I thought was really, kept you guessing the whole film.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed him. Which one were we talking about? Infinity War. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. But again, it was one of them things where I'll go to cinema and watch it. But often I can't recall what's happened before or what's happened. So it doesn't all fit together for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, like, I don't know them in context. I know I've seen all of the films and at the time they were released, but I didn't pay enough attention to know. So by the time the next one's come out, I don't think, oh yeah, well, Captain America did this and, you know, Tony Stark said that. And so for me, it's probably a very different experience to a lot of people. And I know I've got a lot of friends who really, really love these films and can tell me all the details and the correlations. And in some respects, maybe I'm missing out, but I just don't remember. You know, like I do sometimes, like when the new Stranger Things series comes out, I'll watch the previous ones to refresh my memory.
Yes.
I didn't do that with any of the Marvel films. And I know some people do.
To do so, isn't it?
Yeah, but even the one before, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't do that. So maybe I'll watch them soon again, but in closer time than every year or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they are films that benefit from knowing what came before, I guess. And they don't really give much room for people who don't. You know, there's no explanation. It's just straight in, straight going. But that, you know, films that reward multiple viewing are films that you can watch more than once.
Yeah, I think so yours was the Dark Knight trilogy, then Infinity War, then Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was Dark Knight trilogy, Logan, and then probably Spider-Man Maguire.
Yes, I had that next as well.
So that's probably 3 for me in terms of just how much I enjoyed it and how much I enjoyed it when I recently watched it, but how much I enjoyed it at the cinema. I just thought it was superb.
Which one? The Spider-Man 3?
No, Spider-Man.
All right, okay, I was going to say, which order would you put those 3 in?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2,
I know
3.
a lot of people have 2 first, but not for me.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I have 2 first. I have 2, 1, 3 for mine on those. I find the second, the first one's good, but it's got a lot of lifting to do with setting everything up, and after a while. But there's this sort of freedom about the second one that is just ready. Although it still does spend the bulk of the film without him being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why they keep doing that, especially in second films. They did it in Superman 2 as well. It's losing your powers in the second film seems to be one of those things that just gets repeated and repeated. But having said that, yeah, I enjoyed 2 a lot. I think Tobey Maguire was a very good Spider-Man. And I love Sam Raimi as a director. He's got this visual flair that really makes his stuff jump out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Tobey Maguire is easily my favourite Spider-Man. I mean, I don't dislike the other ones. I think it's probably not as much because of his performance. It's because I saw it at the cinema, loved it, and it was the first one of the reimaginings, if you like. So then that stuck with me. The same as in my head, Christopher Reeves is Superman.
Yeah.
Because the first one I saw, and a lot of people saying the same with Batman. A lot of people say, "Oh, Michael Keaton's the best Batman." Not to me, he's not. Do you know what I mean? And I saw him first, but the films that I've been most impressed with are Dark Knight, so that's where I'll always go.
Yeah.
But we're opening up a whole can of worms. I realise I'm probably infuriating half of the internet with my opinions today.
It makes a change.
Yeah, it makes a change from you.
I think, I mean, I do like the Michael Keaton Batmans. I think the first Tim Burton Batman is better than Batman Begins, but I would say the Dark Knight's better than that.
But it's just like when people say, "Oh, as I said at the beginning, oh, but Michael Keaton Batman is more faithful to the comic book Batman." But say I don't have that frame of reference. I don't have that lens to look through. I just don't care.
Sure, I do like Batman Returns a lot as well. I think mainly because when it came out, it was just when you're a kid and you suddenly get really heavily invested in a film, and you buy the making of book, and you're just all in on it. And Batman Returns was one of those films. Even though looking back at it now, it's a weird film.
What is Batman Returns?
That's the Catwoman and Penguin one.
All right, yeah. Was that Danny DeVito as Penguin?
Danny DeVito as Penguin, yeah, and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. And I must have been 13, 14 when that came out. That film was the best at that time.
But yeah, I mean, I really rate Christian Bale as an actor anyway.
Yeah, he's
definitely
very good.
A great Bruce Wayne. So
yeah, and Batman is underserved in that film. He's like a guest star in his own film.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a shame.
I like his Batman voice.
Can you do his Batman voice?
Yeah, probably, but I'm not going to do it live on the internet. That could come back to haunt me.
Okay.
Or seeing pictures of you as Maximus.
Yes, I did put that on. Because we mentioned it last week, I thought I better put it on, but it was worse than I remembered. Yeah, I was dead pleased with that costume when I picked it up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was of its time, Luke.
Yes, a long time ago now. Okay, so I think we've done the top ones there. There's other franchises that'd be good just to pick up on as we go. Like, for example, out of the Superman films, where would you go?
Back to where we talked about last week would be Richard Donner's Superman.
Yeah, I hummed and hard on that. Whilst I acknowledge Superman, the Richard Donner one is a better film, I do enjoy Superman 2 more. Which, when you look at it and you look at how much Richard Donner shot, probably the bulk of the best bits of the film were him. And there's a lot of the film, and there's bits of the film that just don't work. I mean, even now, you look back at that bit where those the three bad guys go to that small town in America.
Yeah.
And have the most extraordinary powers that you've never seen anybody. I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah,
like making the sheriff fly, and I never even understood that as a kid. And and there's a lot of goofiness to all that.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that Superman's got villains in that one that he has to actually, can be a problem to him.
Yeah, and I like that. I thought that was good. I just and there's a lot of aspects I like about it story wise.
Mm.
The whole arc, Superman character arc, and that. But yeah, I like. Maybe I just like the origin stories. You know what I mean? Because I like
maybe.
Yeah.
I love Terrence Stamp in that film as well. He's just his performance is so spot on. That sort of proud man, yeah, really enjoy. All he really wants is to have the son of his enemy bow before him. That's really his end game. Is just because he's proud and arrogant, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, so that'd be my favorite Superman. I'll say, as I've said in previous podcasts that I've never been 100% satisfied with any Superman film. I don't mean like 100% satisfied as it's perfect. I just mean that I can wait. So like with Batman, I got the Dark Knight trilogy. That was that itch scratched, if you like. With Spider-Man, it was the Tobey Maguire ones, but also the others that followed. Andrew Garfield was it, and who's the one that plays Superman, Spider-Man now?
Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. So I like them as well as films. So that not need, but I'm satisfied with them. Do you know what I mean? With Spider-Man, Superman, I've just never got to that place. So all of the films I enjoy to a degree, but say the Donna one for me probably 7 out of 10. The rest are all 6 out of 10. Not Superman.
That's fair. Yeah,
not Superman 3. We don't acknowledge that, but you know what I mean? It's like
we acknowledge it, I guess, more than Superman 4.
Yeah, but the others are all about 6 out of 10. They're halfway there, just over halfway there, and then they're just let down by one thing or another.
Yeah, that's true. I remember Superman 4 was one of the first films I went to see at the cinema. And it seemed like such a big deal to go see a Superman film at the cinema at the time. And boy, even as a little kid, I was like, this is boring. This is bad. You watch it now and you're like, I don't even know how that got made. But it's sad how much the Superman films just went like that. But again, shows how much Richard Donner brought to them. So looking at other superhero types and other superhero films, I guess that brings up Thor. You said Ragnarok was one that you rated.
Yeah, I thought it was well directed. It was a bit more action packed. The soundtrack was outstanding. It was just I just really, really liked it.
Yeah, I thought Thor Ragnarok was very good. I thought the first 2 Thors were middling, but Ragnarok was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I like the character of Thor. I like the idea of it. I like the films. I say I'm not a huge fan of Loki. He just irritates me. But the Ragnarok was another level up on the others.
Yeah. A couple of films I think deserve an honourable mention. Spider-Man from the 70s. It was a TV movie. It was basically it was a pilot for a TV show that kind of sort of half existed. It's terrible, but growing up, I watched it because it was the only Spider-Man film that existed. It is so. I mean, it uses the same loop shot. No matter which building he's climbing up, it's the same building. And they just recycle that stuff again and again and again. And he climbs up a building, clearly being pulled up by a rope. but there's something about it. But it's just getting an honorable mention because it might be the superhero film I've watched most.
Right.
Because I had it on VHS as a kid. And you know what it's like when you have it on VHS as a kid? You watched it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, there's a lot of honorable mentions. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, I like them because I don't mind them being fun because they set the stall out quite early.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're light-hearted and fun. Iron Man, the first Iron Man, I really, really liked. X-Men, I like X-Men until they started making one every week. But X Men 2, I think I really like.
Yeah, that's the best of them.
Yeah. So yeah, so I like the X-Men story, but I think I don't know what it is. Obviously, money talks, or whatever. But they just came out so quickly.
Yeah, it did. They started churning them out, didn't they?
Yeah, so that they're the ones for me. But there's so many.
There is. I was having a look through, just trying to look, and I came across one I hadn't seen in years. Another honorable mention. Have you ever seen Sky High?
Is that about the school?
Yeah, with Kurt Russell
Yeah.
as their sort of as the super, and I've only seen it the once, and it just came across and thought, I think that was really good, but I can't remember. I'd have to try it again. The idea of a superhero school, I think, is quite an appealing one. So it's one of those ones. I think I'm going to stick that on my watch list to try again.
And just to go back, so like I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse the other week.
Yes.
And I know that's rated really highly, but I think that is probably one more for the purists.
Yeah, that was quite high for me, that one.
Because it is almost a comic book animated film hybrid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
I really enjoyed that.
whereas for me, as I said, I enjoyed the story. I just found the whole thing a bit busy. But so when I've seen it rated anywhere, it's rated a lot higher than I would rate it. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that is more for the superhero purists.
Yeah, maybe. What about some of the sort of oddball ones like Joker?
I love Joker, but is he a superhero?
No, I don't think it really counts. It counts as a comic book film, I guess, but it's Shazam.
I loved Shazam. Great fun. You know, just that twist on the child bit, it was just great. You know, getting this. Oh, I like that. But again, it knew what it was.
Yeah, it did. It was one of those films that I went in thinking, I don't know what this is going to be like. But you come out and like, you know what? I had a good time.
Yeah. I really like The Incredibles as well.
The Incredibles is great. Yeah, very good film. Did you see Aquaman?
No, I actively avoided it.
Pushing it too far.
No, but I avoided it because it got hammered. And as I say, I'm not that. I won't watch every one that comes out because I'm not that committed. So if people who love them are hammering it, not just for it didn't match up with the original or didn't do this, they're just hammering the plot and the CGI, and I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Same as we talked about the other week, Wonder Woman, the first 2/3 of Wonder Woman were brilliant. The final act for me was just a mess.
Yeah, it was. And Wonder Woman 2 was a mess all the way through.
I haven't watched that for again, the same reason as Aquaman. It just got hammered.
Yeah, no, I didn't enjoy Wonder Woman 2 at all. And unfortunately, I paid for it because it was during lockdown. Paid for it, that sort of, well, we're not going to the cinema, let's go see something new. But yeah, that was a big disappointment, that one. What about Birds of Prey? Have you done Birds of Prey?
No, I haven't seen that.
Just going through a big long list here. Suicide Squad. Did you watch Suicide Squad?
No, and see, these are the things. Are these more DC? Are they?
Yeah, they're quite DC ones. Suicide Squad.
It's not a problem. I haven't got to them because. Do you know what I mean? It's like not as I keep saying. It's not that if a film comes out and it's a superhero film, I'll watch it. I have to be intrigued by it, or something has to capture me about it, and none of them has.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Same with Justice League.
Yeah. Did you? I did.
I watched it and was like. Then I was partly watching it, and then they were like, the Zack Snyder cut came out, but 4 hours long. I'm not risking it. People keep telling me how great it is, but it's a bit of a risk at 4 hours.
I did that one in shifts. It's not worth it.
Oh, now you're being controversial. There's a lot of love for that, Luke.
Have you got any sort of left field ones that you like that you think nobody else really is into?
I remember there's a film I used to watch as a kid called Condor Man.
Condor Man. I used to love Condor Man.
But I can't remember much about it apart from the theme tune. But I used to watch a lot of it as a kid, and he had a cool car, if I remember.
He did. He had a cool. It wasn't. He was a comic book writer who the Russians thought was a spy or something like that.
Yeah, it was probably a lot more convoluted and complex than I thought, but I just used to love the theme tune and the fact that
And the cool car. I think the
was
cool
on.
car came out of like a van or something, didn't like it came out the bottom of a van. And
Yeah.
I don't remember. I
Yeah,
remember the
so
Russian bad guys had cool cars with black tinted windows. And I remember watching that thinking, I want to be those guys. They've got good cars.
so there's a lot. I mean, probably a lot more that we've missed. There's probably people that are listening going, what about? What about? Let us know what your favourite superhero films are. What ones you enjoy, what you agree with Luke on, what you disagree with me on. That's probably a lot. But it's not, I'm not knocking your chosen genre. I'm just saying that I'm not as enthusiastic about it as many people are.
Yeah, this isn't your genre, really, is it?
No, but so I like films, and
Mm.
I'll watch them if I'm intrigued by them. I won't watch them out of obligation. So for instance, the Rocky films, I would be committed to watching them regardless of what the appeal, regardless of what the storyline was, because I just love them.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's fair.
with Marvel or X-Men or other things, probably the one I'm closest to is Superman. If any Superman film comes out, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
because that was the first superhero that really grabbed me, and the one that I still is probably my favorite superhero.
yeah, and I'd be the same, but with Spider-Man, simply because as a kid, Spider-Man was the one I wanted to be.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, I had the wallpaper of Superman and this, that, and the other. But I do like the role they play and inspiring us all, and there's usually a positive message in them, and that offers humanity hope.
Yeah, yeah, good.
Although, just before we finish,
Yep.
the Lego movie.
Oh, yes.
Where we're all the super. So I like the positive message in that. Not really superhero movies in Batman Lego movie, but in the Lego movie, they're all looking for the super, aren't they? And then it turns out that we're all the super. So I'll leave that message of encouragement and hope with you that we're all superheroes, Luke.
What an encouraging way to end.
Yes. You're a superhero, Luke.
You know what? We should end each podcast with just a little thought from you like that.
A little thought. I'll do one. Messages of hope. So remember, if you're watching this or you're listening anywhere in your car driving and you're feeling a bit down with the pressures of life, that you are a superhero.
And with that, we'll say goodbye for this week, and we'll see you again next week.
See you next week.